All right, teammates, let's go over this problem together. So, our problem today says Jamal has three cubes that are all the same size. They have a side length of 4. To find the total volume of all three cubes, he wrote the expression 3s cubed. Use Jamal's expression to find the total volume of all three cubes. All right, teammates. So the first thing that I notice is that there's a variable in my expression or the expression that Jamal gave us to find the total volume. So I am going to use substitution to first replace my variable with the number that was provided. So as we can see, our original expression is 3s cubed, or to the third power, which means that we're going to multiply this number, whatever s is, by itself 3 times. But first, let's plug in our number to replace the variable. So it says that they all have a side length of 4, so that s represents this length of 4, so s equals 4. And now I can rewrite the expression with my actual value. So 3, 4, because the s is 4. Now, teammates, now this looks like 34, and that's not what we want. That would completely change the value. So we can't forget that if we're substituting in a number in place of our variable, it's best practice to put just parentheses around the number that we just substituted. So because I plugged in 4, I'm going to put parentheses around it, which tells me that I'm actually going to multiply these two numbers together. Okay, so I can't forget about the cubed. So here is my new expression, 3 times 4 to the third power. Okay, so that was step 1, was just substituting. So if I was using the language of sequencing, I would say first I substituted 4 into the place of the variable. Now I have to use the order of operations to help us actually evaluate or solve this expression. So I see that I have a multiplication problem, 3 times 4, and then I also see that I have an exponent. I have 4 to the third power. Well, when I think about the order of operations, I know that I need to do exponents before I do multiplication. So that means that I'm actually going to evaluate what is 4 to the third power. Well, let's see. 4 to the third power is equivalent to 4 times 4 times 4. Okay, so 4 times 4 equals 16. 16 times 4, 16 times 4 equals 64. So in this space, I can write 64 to show that now I'm going to multiply 64 times 3 to get my final answer. All right, 64 times 3, that's a pretty big equation. So if you had to use a calculator for that, that's totally fine with me. 64 times 3 is 192. Okay, so now I have found that the total volume of the three cubes is 192. So you saw that my first step was to substitute. So in using the language of sequencing, I could say, first I substituted 4 into the place of the variable. Next, I use the order of operations to evaluate 4 cubed. Finally, I multiplied 3 times 64 to get my answer of 192. All right, teammates, make sure that you have this work jotted down in your journal. If you didn't write it yet, you can pause now and just write down what you see on the screen and then come back together in the main session.